Okay. All right. Well, welcome all to the June 9th meeting of the New Jersey Electric Vehicle Association. My name is Patrick McDevitt. I'm from Gloucester County, Monroe Township, and I'm happy to be presenting tonight. So real quick, we're going to go through the agenda. I'm going to do a quick chapter report. We'll do a members update, talk about some EV news and updates, and then we'll have a special guest speaker, Jonce Dimoski from PSE&G. We'll talk about their new three-tiered time of use rate. We'll talk about some upcoming events and then mention about our next meeting. We did want to thank our sponsors. Our DCFC sponsor is the Borough of Madison, New Jersey. We appreciate them. Our level 2 charge sponsor is Signature Detailing, and we have no level 1s at the moment. So about the NJEVA, this is our updated mission statement. We aim to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles in New Jersey and the region. The mission of the EVA is to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles by empowering our nationwide member-driven network of local chapters to educate communities, share real-world EV experiences, and inform decision-making. EVA equips individuals and communities with unbiased, experience-based information about electric vehicles, provides national resources and support for chapter-led outreach and educational events, and coordinates with policymakers and stakeholders by sharing member insights to inform decision-making. There are chapters across the country. EVA supports current and future EV drivers by providing clear, practical information that bridges real-world experience, policy, and community needs. And as always, EVA is a 501c nonprofit that is largely volunteer run. So all donations are 100% tax deductible. And there is the link to the national group as well as our New Jersey group chapter. There is a chapter locator on the website. Excuse me. There are 46 chapters searchable by location. And if your chapter is not on the list, of course, you can update it online. We did want to highlight our new members. Dunbar Bernie has joined up. Thank you to him. And we did get a renewal from Stephen Breyer, who's been a member for 6 years. And as noted on the bottom, we have 97 active members. 5 of them are out of state, including Stephen. He's in Louisiana, of course. Some New Jersey news. Right now, New Jersey is investing in battery storage. So there are a couple projects in the works. I'm not going to go through all the links, but these will be available to you guys when we share these slides. New Jersey also awarded $32 million in grants for electric school buses that I'm pretty sure we might hear a little bit from Stan later on. There's a company in New Jersey right now doing mobile EV charging. It's called RoadZap. So there's an article about that. And we wanted to highlight our educator, Mike Hornsby, who does our first responder awareness events, has been named Educator of the Year by the National Electric Vehicle Association. So we congratulate Mike, and we're proud to have him in our group. Okay, so our highlight for tonight is PSE&G's EV charging program. This was approved in January 2021. Make-ready incentives include the customer side, a $1,500 charger per charger, and on the utility side, $5,000 per site. Off-peak credit will be discontinued in the near future, and off-peak charging is being replaced by a whole house 3-period time of use. To talk about this tonight, we would like to welcome Jonce Dimoski from PSE&G. He currently leads the implementation of the utility's electric vehicle charging program for light-duty vehicles. and supports the utility's development of vehicle electrification strategy. Mr. Dimoski is a certified program management professional who has earned a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from NJIT, a master's degree in engineering management from NJIT, and an MBA in finance and strategy from Rutgers. His professional and personal interests include a passion to give back to the community by helping others. And we would also like to note that he is a volunteer firefighter at Maywood Fire Department and that he attends some of our New Jersey electric vehicle events, including the first responder workshops. And he also drives a Ford F-150 Lightning. Jonce, are you here with us tonight?
Yes, thank you, Patrick, and thank you for that amazing introduction. I just want to be known as I told Patrick, Jonce Dimoski, first of his name from New Jersey, something throwback to Game of Thrones. Because, all right, if you can just go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So I'll start off with just talking high level, and then I'm going to transition, share my screen, and go on to the actual website. I'll show you guys our website and then how to access certain things. So the very first thing I just want to touch upon is there's a lot to the PSE&G's electric vehicle program, charging program. We've been around, like Patrick said, since 2021. And we've been very successful in helping many residential and commercial customers electrify and provide electric chargers. Having said that, we did offer a residential off-peak credit when you were enrolled in the program. But like all good things, it has to come to an end. That was the intent since day one. If you look at the original Board of Public Utilities order that approved our program, it called for a specific EV time of use rate. And once that was implemented, the off-peak credit was sunsetting. So the off-peak credit program was just a placeholder. And now that we have it up and running, we're going to cease the off-peak credit program that we offer through the actual program later this year. We have sent out a few emails at the beginning of the year to some customers that were enrolled in our program, letting them know if you hadn't enrolled by January 13th, you will not be eligible, just because we had to cut it. And then for the existing customers that are enrolled in our program, we are doing some back end stuff. And once that the IT system is up and running, we will stop the off-peak credit program. But that's not to say today, if you want to enroll in the time of use, you can enroll in the time of use. That's not a problem. So the biggest thing with the time of use that everybody should be aware of is not currently, beforehand, we had a time of use that was two-period. It was just on-peak and off-peak. Off-peak was 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., Monday through Friday, and then all day Saturday, all day Sunday. That was off-peak. And then on-peak was everything else, so a majority of the day. Having said that, this three-period time of use was created with the average residential customer in mind. So the average residential customer, the load profile, is broken out this way. So, and that's how our rates department created this. Having said that, even though this is a whole house time of use rate, it's really intended for electric vehicle charging. Because as you can see, midnight to 6 a.m. is our off-peak, and it's approximately 10.4 cents in the summer and 10.5 cents in the winter. It's just rounding. The biggest thing I want to show you guys is on both sides, you have the dotted line. That dotted line represents what the existing residential service rate is. So that's a good baseline to show you. So if you do not want to sign up for this time of use rate, which is opt-in, it's opt-in, it's not opt-out, so you will not automatically get enrolled. Just to do comparison, when you look at the dotted line, our off-peak is substantially cheaper than the existing residential rate. Our mid-peak is, I always say, it's pretty much the same exact thing. It's off by a penny or two. And then where it really comes into play is that on-peak. So in the summer, that on-peak is relatively 60 cents. And in the winter, it is relatively 39 cents. The reason I kind of round is because all the rates tend to fluctuate half a penny to a penny throughout the year because different things fall off and get put onto the rates. Having said that, majority of the time when you're on the 3P, you're actually paying equal or less than what you would have paid on that residential rate. The one window that you have to kind of avoid is that on peak. And having said that, electric vehicle charging is the most flexible load in your house. So it's easy that you can just shift that to off peak. So it's midnight to 6 a.m. So if you do that, statistics show that majority of our customers, 95% of all enrolled customers in our program charge off peak. So having said that, 95% of your bill, or I'm sorry, 50% of your bill, because the average customer, 50% of the electric bill, 45 to 50. Some higher ones are above 50, but 50 on the top end, I would say maybe 40. And if you're a low EV user, probably in the 30s. But majority of the customers aren't low EV users. So as long as you charge off peak, you're charging at 10 cents per 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and 40 to 50% of your electric bill is at that rate. So EV customer, time of use, kind of a no-brainer. Having said that, everybody's always going to say, well, I don't know. That's a great question to ask because on our My Account website, when you log in, there's a calculator, and I will show you. Well, I can't show you because I'm already on the time of use, but I will step you through how to get to that. So I'm just going to share my screen now.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Content. Can I just share screen? Perfect. Window. Just let me know when you can see the screen.
Okay, we see it.
Perfect. Okay. So if you go to pseng.com/TOU, which is in the link as well. And so this is the website that's been set up. And it can explain everything you might need, all the questions, how to even sign up for it. So I'm not going to go into the details because a lot of you probably already know what a time of use is, how it works. And this is really meant for just the average PSE&G customer. I would assume many of the people on this call already know what a time of use rate is. And in this instance, like I explained before, and it just talks about where to shift and what have you. So if you click over to the overview, compare the rates, enroll. This is where I got those charts from. So you can look at it at your own leisure. And it explains to you more details around what exactly the rates are. And then furthermore, on the bottom, it will explain to you step by step how to enroll and how to look at the actual rate comparison tool. So, and the very big thing I do want to talk about here is this. You have a guaranteed 12-month bill protection. So the second you sign up, that's your anniversary date. 12 months from that anniversary date, at the end of 12 months, there's like, I don't want to call it a true up, but there's a verification. So once the 12 months is up, you can take a look and see whether the time of use was indeed cheaper than the RS rates. And it uses the current usage and it does the calculator. If it was cheaper, you can stay on it. If it was more expensive, the PSE&G will refund you the difference back to that RS. So you're pretty much whole and you're given the option to switch back to RS. The intent here is you should lock in for 12 months. So if you want to switch before 12 months, you really, in order to get the refund, you have to stay the full 12 months because the way it works is it's on average 12 months. It's where the savings comes into play. Let's say you only sign up in the summer and then at the end of the summer, you decide, hey, listen, this is too expensive. And you try to switch out. At that point, then we'd have to talk to billing and see if you would get the refund because the intent is it's over the average of 12 months, you end up switching. Um, Yeah, and this just talks about because it's whole house, so it talks about other opportunities, dishwasher, washer, dryer, different appliances in your house that you can use to kind of shift to off peak. Um, and yeah, anything else in your house, I mean, those are the biggest things that most homes have, and in terms of flexibility. The other aspect is if you are a pool owner, you can shift that pool usage to overnight in terms of the pool pump, or if you have a heater or anything of that nature. These are the biggest, and then cooling your home. So cooling your home, you can definitely stay outside of those on-peak hours. You can pre-cool during mid-peak, and then you basically raise the thermostat during the on-peak hours, and then after on peak, you can basically set it to whatever you want as well. Um, and in addition to that, we do, I'm not going to talk about it here, but we do have a demand response program for those of you that don't know about it. And the demand response programs does incentivize you if you do enroll your HVAC, water heaters, EV charger. And what they do is they basically proactively, during certain events in the summer, they manage your EV charger or your heating or what have you, and you get some incentive with that. Um, the biggest thing here is the choice is yours. No one's forcing anybody to go to time of use. If you have any additional questions, you can reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you understand the rates better, even go through your bill and just answer any of the questions. And like I mentioned earlier, peace of mind. At the end of 12 months, you have the guaranteed bill protection. So I do want to just take you guys over to how to step through. So when you go to pseng.com, you click on my account. I already have mine done. Apologize, give me a second.
You remember that password, right?
I had it on my phone. I always forget. So oh. We take cybersecurity very seriously at PSE&G, which is why we have multi-factor authentication nowadays. Makes me jump through hoops.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Even though it's a slight inconvenience for me, I appreciate it because that's the last thing I would ever want to be hacked by anybody else. So once you get into here, I have no problem. Um, you come down, and right here where it says My Meter, you click on your My Meter. And then right here, there should be an icon that says compare your rates. So when you click on that, and if it's not, you can click on one of these gears because sometimes they hide it, and then it should show up here. So once you click on that, it gives you the option um, to select whatever time frame. You can go back, I think, or a year and a half, and it takes your AMI data. And then so say you want to do a full 12 months. It takes your AMI data, and what it does is it basically analyzes at the existing RS rate, and then it analyzes at the new time of use rate for the past 12 months. And it lets you know you would save X amount of dollars. If you are an EV user, the one caveat I will say is the existing off peak, if you do adhere to those hours, is 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So if you set your charging to start at 9 p.m., majority of the users starts charging at 9, it might end by midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So just take that into consideration because when it does do analysis, that EV charging from 9 to 12 is considered mid-peak. And so from 12 to 6 is the off-peak. So just take that with a grain of salt. You would have to technically shift that to midnight to 6 a.m. to truly get it. So if it tells you that you would save, that is being very conservative because if you're charging from 9 to midnight. Having said that, if you charge currently today during mid peak on peak, just take that into consideration because it's not a true representation of your future behavior. Because in the future, if you do switch the time of use, then you would have to charge from midnight to 6 a.m. to really reap the benefits of the off peak. If you decide to charge on peak, that's not the intent of the time of use rate. And unfortunately, at that point, if you charge on peak, it is more costly than if you were to have stayed on the RS rate.
Jonce, I'll just have quick question so that people understand the chart. The light blue, is it solar generation?
Yes, thank you, Stan, for teeing me up.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
where I was
yeah,
going to go into. Me
good.
personally, I have solar. I have solar and I have time of use. So having said that, if you look at my usage, I'll basically say, oh, I'm sorry. Another time for this, just to explain it, if you want to see your actual peak or demand, set this to hourly because 1
Uh,
kWh divided by 1 hour is 1 kW. That's how you see what your peak is. So then you can set your time period here. So let's say the past week, you guys can all take a look. Let's just say the past day. So the past day, majority of my charging happens overnight. So from 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, I was pulling 11.84 kilowatt hours, which it's hourly. So you divide it by 1, it cancels out. So I was pulling 11.84 kilowatts. I have a level 2 charger, 11.5 kW charger. I have a wall box. I love it. So having said that, this is off-peak charging. Um, Now I'm going to kind of transition into solar and off-peak. So for those of you that have solar and want to transition to time of use, I should say, not off-peak, I apologize. The way it works is whenever you generate, if any excess generation or falls into that bucket. So having said that, whatever you generate mid-peak, anything you bank onto your bill stays in mid-peak. Anything on peak stays in on peak. Anything off peak stays on off peak. Off peak, you would ask, well, you don't generate overnight. That's true. So having said that, currently today, any off peak charging that you do have is not going to be offset by any of your net metering because your net metering is during the day and it stays in that bank. But having said that, um, at the end of your 12 months, you basically will have the bank, and the way it works is you break even. You should break even. So, but that's existing process today with RLM. So if you're on RLM and you have an RS rate, the same exact thing happens. If you decide to stay on RS, the way that RS and net metering works is it's just one bucket because there's no on peak, off peak, mid peak, or anything like that. It's just one bucket. And at that point, then any of the charging that you do will pretty much be offset by your generation. Um, we are looking at different opportunities to see and look at in the future, but right now that's how it works. Um, so I think this is a good point just to ask if there are any questions.
we do have a couple questions in the chat if you can address.
Okay, let me
I
look.
know you weren't all in on the demand response, but are there specific HVAC brands that the demand response will work with, or is it any?
It's a great question. So I'm just gonna say this up front. I am not the demand response project manager.
Yeah.
I will provide you with all that information. Off the top of my head, you just basically have to go to, again, I don't even know the website. It's demand response program, sorry. And
Yeah.
then you would click on, I apologize.
All good.
But there is certain brands, and you would take a look at it. Just let me find that link for you guys. Flex Power. So you click here. And there's actually two. So if you don't qualify with what we call the Flex Power right here, so you have Sensi, Ecobee, Honeywell, Nest, and Honeywell Home. So these are all the ones. If you do not have any of that stuff, or even for the EV chargers, if you don't have any of the brands, what ends up happening is there's a Flex Power, and then the other one is called SmartFlex. SmartFlex is basically they send a signal and says, hey, from 4 to 7 p.m., lower your usage. So you have to manually go and unplug things or breakers or whatever. And the whole goal is between that time frame, you lower your usage during that time frame, and then they pay you, I think it's $1.25 a kilowatt hour.
Oh,
So there's two programs there. So Mario, hopefully that answered your question.
Great, thank you for that.
Okay. Charles, how does load shifting with something like a Powerwall come into play here? So if you do have any kind of batteries or anything of that nature, it has to be behind the meter. The one thing I would say with batteries is it's a BPU thing where we as a utility, you cannot price arbitrage. What that means is you can't fill up your battery when it's cheaper and then you offload it to the grid when it's on peak. That's just, you can't do that. For net metering, the BPU specifically states it has to come from pure renewable generation. So AKA solar. So you generate and it goes onto the grid. Anything else, unless they change it, you cannot fill up your battery when it's cheaper and offload it onto the grid. But what you can do is if you do have solar, you do have battery, or if you just have battery, you can, in theory, fill up when it's cheaper and use that battery during the daytime. Having said that, I will let you guys know this. If you buy, because I've looked into it, if you buy a battery, the pricing of a battery is, I think the setup, just to set it up is like 15 grand with the battery. And then every subsequent battery is like $7,000. In the summer, if it's 60 cents on peak and 10 and a half cents off peak. So that's 40 cents from 4 p.m. to midnight, right? Having said that, if you do the math, it's going to take you a long time to make up that difference. So it's not really a good business opportunity, or not business, or savings. If you already have batteries or anything of that nature, that's fantastic. But I personally, or not even personally, just the economics. If you do it, the cost of the battery just to do it. Having said that, if you do have battery, that is a good opportunity that you can do that. If you have solar, the whole system. Does that answer your question, Charles?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great. John, for those of us not lucky enough to be searching I can't speak about ACE, unfortunately. I haven't read their board order in years. Example of current 2 cents per hour. Get a check for savings twice a year using that. Really, that's great. I mean, honestly, and even the 2 cents a kilowatt hour, unfortunately, I don't want to say that I had a hand in that, but originally when we first started the program, it was approximately two and a half cents or 2 cents. But then a year and a half into it, the states asked us to do the supply side as well. And the supply side is the biggest savings. That's why we have approximately 10 and a half cents. And ours is dynamic. On the back end of calculation, ACE was a flat 2 cents. And they issued a check twice a year, just because from a cost perspective, I know that issuing a check is a lot easier than putting it on bill, but I can't necessarily speak on what ACE is going to do in the future. But fingers crossed, hopefully. Sorry, John, I can't help you as much.
Yep, thanks.
I mean, I can help you. I mean, I know a good realtor if you want to move to PSE&G territory.
Thank you.
Let me know. Okay. Pico, apply to multiplier or
Of two
to our KWH billing when we signed up for time of use. No, I'm not sure what that even means, but we do not sign. Jay, can you explain exactly what that means? Because I don't think I understand it properly.
Very simple. Multiply your cost per kilowatt hour by 2, and that shows up as the billing cost. We have filed a complaint with Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. We got a response from their Bureau of, what do they call it? BCS, Bureau of Consumer Service. They did not get a response from PECO as to why they did this, and the result was that the entire electric charge for almost 2 years has been they issued an order that's going to be refunded to us. PECO was having problems, possibly because they changed their billing contracting. And the PUC investigator said that there have been a lot of problems of this kind and other kinds. But it was just astonishing to us that PECO would literally double the electric rate they charge for. And not only did they do that during the time of use period, which was a little over a year and a half, they are still continuing to do that. They double our electric bill every month. It's astonishing. I don't know if this is something any other electric utility does, but we're not sitting still for it.
Yeah, I apologize, Jay. I mean, I'm sorry that you guys are going through that. I'm not familiar with the case, but well, I can speak exactly what I referenced earlier. You have the off-peak, it's approximately 10.5 cents. And let me go to that for you again. How do I hide this? Sorry, I removed this. I can't. Oh, perfect. Okay. Sorry. But for us, like I mentioned earlier, worst case scenario is in the summer, and then you have 60 cents, 27.4, and then 10.4 cents. That is exactly what you'll be charged. I mean, plus or minus a bit because the rates do fluctuate because things drop off and other things hop onto the rates, but that's just with any of our rates. So we don't multiply by 2. There's no equation. It's exactly what you see on the screen.
We have a question from someone which goes along the lines of separating that fee between supply and delivery, which is also segue to a question: what if somebody wants to have a different supplier? So can you comment on that?
Oh yeah, perfect. Yes, absolutely. So great question. So these prices that you see are the combination of both. Just so you guys know, there's a website called Understanding Your Bill, PSE&G. So when you go to Understanding Your Bill, make sure I click on the right one because I always click on the Long Island one by accident. Don't do Long Island unless you live in Long Island. So when you go here, it's very straightforward. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's easier to understand than the tariff rate sheets. So here, we don't have it updated yet. It will get updated later this year. But once it's updated, just like how it's shown here, RLM, you'll be able to see the breakout of your distribution and your electric your supply over here. If you decide, or if you have a third-party supplier, the majority of any of these rates, or most rates in our are made up of the supply side. The supply portion of your bill is the larger portion, proportional to each other. So I've heard in the past, I can do it, but off the top of my head, it's roughly 2/3 to 1/3, or something a little bit less, maybe 55 to 45. But majority of your bill is here. The one thing I will say is depending on what you look at, which rate, you have to be like, this is volumetric and this is on peak and off peak. And then same thing with down here. It gets a little not confusing, but just make sure you're adding the right numbers. Having said that, if you truly want to see what it is, PSE&G electric tariff, you can go here. This is the whole legal side. So that's why you would see it's easier to go to that one website. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong link. Current, or did I not? I clicked on the right one. Maybe it just didn't load for a second. Okay, it was the right one. I just didn't scroll. I apologize. So the current time of use is actually underneath the RS. It's a subset. So you click on RS, and it basically will explain to you here. So this is the normal RS, and this is for the 3P. And this talks about the different costs broken out. So as you can see here,
can you enlarge it a little bit for us who are over 40?
Perfect. Okay. So
thank you.
Backwards. Okay, perfect. So so when you look at under RS, here this is October to May, this is the winter, and this is the summer. So if you take a look right here, the on peak is approximately 15.5 cents during the winter. And if you were to take a look at, oh, I closed it, didn't I? So winter on peak is 38.5 cents. So if you take a look at it, the distribution portion is 15.5 cents. So 38.5. So that is what, 23 cents. So your supply is 23 cents for that one. And then you could just do the same thing for all the other ones. So mid peak is 4.2 cents. So 4.2 minus 26 points, let's just say 5, regardless. So that's 22 cents. It's for mid peak. And then for off peak, it is 2.1 cents. Let's just say 2 cents. I'm an engineer. I don't do simple math. So 2 cents. So 10.5 cents minus 2 cents is 8.5 cents. So you can see that the supply portion is the bigger part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kimberly, did that answer your question?
She says yes.
Great. Great. And to be honest with you, if you really want to see what the supply portion is, you go down to the supply part of this bill and take a look at it, but it's a little more convoluted. The way I did it, it's a lot easier. And it gives you a good estimate. Charles, when does the EV program credit fully go away for those of us that are already enrolled? Is there any reason to wait before signing up? To be quite honest with you, it's later this year. We don't have a set date right now. There's some stuff in the back end that are going to dictate the exact date. So I don't want to say an exact date and then it shift, but it should be later this year. And is there any reason to wait? To be honest with you, it's a personal preference. Currently today, you're getting approximately 10.5 cents, 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's just for that EV usage. And we collect the data and provide it back. It's not whole house. It's just for that. Having said that, if you were to switch to time of use, it's whole house. So that's the part that people are uneasy about. But the one thing I will say is, and I'll show you right now. Today, so let's just say winter. I mean summer, because we're in summer right now, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about. So your RS rate is 29.2 cents. That's what you're paying right now. And then if we give you back 10 cents or 11 cents, if you do the math, you're at 19 or 18 cents a kilowatt hour. Versus if you were to switch, you're at 10.4 cents.
Huh.
Can I offer a comment?
Absolutely.
Having experienced time of use, we got a juice box to begin with. And we had two different kinds of problems with the NL juice box people. One is the repeated failures of the equipment, the juice box itself. The other problem we had was really poor service with the customer service people. What we expected to be able to do with time of use was to program when the charging was done. And what we learned from that sad experience was don't use NL, that's ENEL, the juice box. I'm not even sure they're still in business or whether they switched to somebody else. I will tell you that we bought a different one, Canadian system,
Grizzly.
Grizzle. And the Grizzle E has programming. Not all Grizzle boxes have programming, but if you're going to do time of use, you really need to use a charger that is programmable. That's my comment from my experience. There's a guy called the heck is his name? You actually had him on this NJEVA a week or so. Maloney, was that his name?
Tom
Uh,
Malogny.
Yeah.
He is very good, but his explanations on his YouTube aren't quite complete. So you do need to know if you're going to go for time of use. Check with Maloney, the charger guy, but don't buy a level 2 charger that doesn't have programming available that you can control either with your laptop or with your cell phone. That's my comment.
Okay, we have another question here, Mario. Yeah, so again, so I'm not a rates expert, Mario. So I want to preface it. Our rates department, this is something that is discussed, that has been coming, that does come up at this time. There's nothing I can, I wish I could tell you anything. This rate just got implemented in the future. That is something that will and should be discussed. I agree. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. You guys, Stan has my information. If anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to reach out. Always about my program, about electric vehicles, about Jay. If you want to talk about anything, just you can call me up. We can definitely talk about devices or, yeah, we can watch the YouTube videos together. Maloney is a great. When I first started, I looked at all his YouTube channels and learned, but.
I just put Jonce's email address at the chat.
And if you do email me, please do let me know in the subject, NJVA, member.
Yeah.
I do get a lot of spam, so.
All right, that was great. Now, you're all good, done sharing?
Yes, I'm done sharing. Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thank
Hope it
you.
wasn't too dry.
Thank you so much. This is Stan, and I just prepared a couple of slides where I want to a little bit complement of Jonce's words, because those of you who have been following our organization, I was presenting about the residential load management in, let me turn on my camera. I was presenting about the residential load management in June 2023. The presentation, the meeting is on our YouTube channel. And Patrick, can you share the screen again?
Sure.
So I just want to show how the data on our house panned out, which at this point I want to call it as a case study, because every household is different. But I want to say also, Jonce was talking about PSE&G, and lots of you are under different jurisdictions. Other utilities can at any time come up with a program that is very similar. And the best way to start is to be prepared by measuring your consumption. You can do it in various ways. PSE&G is not the only utility company that installs smart meters. So you want to look into your utility bill online, whether you can also access your meter. You can also show, I mean, you can install meters such as Emporia, which I can very recommend because this is the one that I have. And you can measure consumption on individual circuits. So you can have dedicated meter for your EVSE, for your compressor, for air conditioning. And if it's bidirectional, it's called heat pump. Then you can, of course, have a data that it's very valuable 24/7, 365 days a year. Yes. If you have electric water heater or heat pump water heater, if you have a electric oven range, that helps you to all get ready so that when the time is there, you can be ready to jump onto more favorable rate. Patrick, shall I share the screen or do you have issues?
I thought I was sharing, no?
I'm seeing something else.
How about now?
Yes. So can you go a little bit back? Yes. So this is the one slide that I was presenting back in 2023. And I was showing, so on the left side is a bar that shows how much was the bill for the 12 months period when I had only residential, if I had only residential solar, residential service. And our household has also solar system, okay? But this is a scenario that for that particular year, we would not have any solar system and we would have residential service. The second bar is if we had time of use, which at that time was the residential load management, has only 2 tiers, okay? And you can see that we would be already saving 22.5%. And the reason is because a big chunk of it is electric vehicle charging. By implementing solar of that size that we had, the solar at the point of installation was supplying 100% of load, covered 100% of load. But at that particular year, there were already 2 electric vehicles in service and heat pump. So it offered only 42% savings. What was interesting that by combining both solar and time of use, we could actually combine the savings. And this is also important in context what Jonce was saying, that you want to make sure that the energy that is produced during given bucket is also consumed during the same time. Different day, of course, but so if you go to the next slide. So today, we have this 3-tier system. And if we use the same case study house, like our house, then for the 2025, the solar generation was 4,674 kilowatt hours. And the current RLM peak would be 3,375 and off peak would be 1,299. And I tell you that the ratio is actually 5:2. And the reason is because the way how the peak was set up for that program is that pretty much you have peak during the day on business days, and on weekends it's off peak. So the solar generation is 5:2, and it's very much biased for peak. That's why you have to be careful when you sign up for that program. Again, it's not available anymore, but you know that when you have your load, that you want to match it based on that ratio. Now the new one is completely different. All the way on the right is the off peak. That's what Jonce is saying, it's 0. Well, in my case, it would be just barely 1 kilowatt hour. But what is important here, that bulk of the generation is in mid peak. And the peak is only about 10%. And this is important because the peak is very expensive and the solar system actually is not delivering too much because it's after 4 p.m., between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. So go to the next slide. The next chart shows what is this household projected load distribution under the new time of use. So the yellow represents solar generation. So the peak is whatever you see about barely 500 kilowatt hours, the load during this time is substantially higher in relation to the generation, right? And I have it broken into two buckets, actually three. One is base home, then heat pump, and EVSE charging, which is perfectly controlled load. So that's why there is no green bar for the load peak, because I would never plug it at that time. But the heat pump is something that can be possibly controlled if the heat pump system is maybe hybrid. When you have electric and natural gas, you can divert to natural gas during peak hours, and that would certainly improve the economy of it. Bulk of the generation is mid-peak, and you can see that there is also bulk of load, both the base home and heat pump. And there is a little bit of EVSE charging, and that's by design. That's by design because you want to consume whatever you produce. And most of the energy consumption is actually in off-peak. There is much less of a base home, but there is still a pretty good portion of a heat pump. But the biggest chunk of off-peak is the EVSE. This is the charging. That's what Jonce was talking about. And when you do your math, you can realize that even if you pay a little bit more or substantially more for peak, the fact that your consumption is so much smaller versus off-peak, at the end of the day, you might be actually better off switching to the three-phase system. Next slide. In this case, I was breaking it up by month. And as you can guess, the solar generation between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. does not happen during winter month. So January, February, and November, December is pretty much zero. October is very, very low. And the most expensive peak is during the summer, which is June, July, August, September, 4 months. So you can see that actually the generation, at least for June, July, August, is very, very good. And the consumption of peak energy by background house is very low. What it really stands out here is the peak, the heat pump, because the heat pump in summer works as air conditioning. For this case study, it's, no specific home is representative. In our case, we travel a lot during summer, so the air conditioning is not running too much. You can see that July and August are very low comparing to June for the heat pump. But what this really shows that the more expensive peak is actually reasonably covered by solar generation peak during summer. The cheaper peak in winter is not covered, but it's cheaper. So this is another argument why actually the three-phase, three-tier system will work quite well. Next slide, please. In this chart, and this is also related to what Jonce said, this shows how the load is distributed. He was talking about electric vehicle being between 40 and 50%. In our household, it's 46, right on spot. Our heat pump is the second major point, major load. Our primary heat is actually heat pump. Only when it's very cold, then the system will revert to natural gas. But it is not as flexible load. The other loads are oven range, which is 5.2%, fridge 4.8%, furnace 4.2%. Water heat, now water heater, we just installed a heat pump water heater in August. So it shows only 1.9%, but we expect the whole year would be 6 to 7%. And the balance, everything else is 6.7. Next slide. Okay, so now we are switching gears. Do you have any questions for that, what I said? Don't be shy to unmute yourself.
I have a question. This
Go
is
ahead.
Jay. My experience with the heat pump, and we're ending our first full year, is that it was actually more expensive to run the heat pump when the ambient air temperature was 40 degrees or colder Fahrenheit. Is that your experience also? And another question is, how did you get these precise loads? How do you monitor the amount of amperage that you use, power that you use
Right.
for each one of these loads, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me answer this one before I forget. You get two questions. I measure it using Emporia VOE. You can buy it on Amazon. I'm not endorsing Amazon necessarily. But I forget how much it was, but I want to say it's affordable. The biggest deal is to install it. If you are at least a little bit handy, you can do it. You don't need permits to do it, but you need to open your power box, your electrical box, and this is where you want to install it. It has clamps that attach to your. These are transponders, so they do not have direct contact with the metal. Okay, you just clamp it around the wires, it comes. The basic kit comes with 8 transporters plus the main, and so it might be actually enough, the base kit, because the most load is coming actually only from few circuits. Like you can see here, EVSE, heat pump, oven range, fridge, furnace, and water heater. That makes 7 circuits, right? I think it's 6. Okay, yeah. But I have some other, and solar. I have also tapped this solar so that I can measure the solar generation, because my solar system was built a little bit earlier. I do not have any intelligent measurement of the solar generation. So that Emporia VOE is helping me to kind of bundle everything together. So that's the answer how I measure. And your question about cost for running heat pump, well, that's kind of embedded into what I said. The solar system generates peak, and I buy mostly off peak. So the heat pump in peak is about 2 to 1 to off peak. The peak is provided by solar, which is free. And that one part for the heat pump load is what I buy. And it's 12 cents. My off peak is about 12 cents. The off peak that Jonce was talking about is priced a little bit more favorably. It's 10.5 cents, but it's also shorter. Because the old RLM has off peak that it's 10 hours, I believe. And all weekends, yeah. So, and my heat pump is set up to work down to 25 Fahrenheit outside. So it's actually essentially it's economical all the way down to its technical capabilities. It just doesn't work well below 25 Fahrenheit. That's the reason why it reverts to natural gas, not because it's not economical. But it's true that everyone's results will vary, and I recommend you get some sort of device like the Emporia. It doesn't have to be Emporia. It doesn't have to be from any specific online store. But it helps you to understand how do you want to set up your heat pump. And if you don't have solar system, I definitely recommend to install even smaller solar system. What this case study shows that if you have smaller solar system that does not offer 100% of your load, then it actually makes even more sense to go with combination of solar and time of use. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Other questions, or shall we go to the next topic? Okay, just for information, we will go through the main deck that we have, then we will stop recording, and after that, we can go back and answer any other questions offline, okay? So let's go to the next topic. So event review. We attended Fleet Sustainability Expo, which is event annual. One of our partners, New Jersey Clean Cities Coalition, is organizing it. So some of the highlights, if you have never seen Slate truck, that was actually a good opportunity to see it. It has a nice frunk. It has some nice frugal features that allows it to be produced cheaper. The base model is supposed to be 20,000. It will come with 2 batteries. The base battery will be good for something between 150 and 200 miles. So it's a little bit smaller, but if you know what you need, if you are, planning the use case, it might be very good battery size. And being smaller, the vehicle is also more efficient than larger pickup trucks. I also noticed Harbinger Class 6 truck. That one is plug-in hybrid. But what is very interesting, that the battery that it has is already good for, I want to say, close to 200 miles. For plug-in hybrid, let alone this size, it's quite unusual. And the gas engine is just as a generator, I think it's like 1.5 liter. So again, for truck, that's not too big, but it's really a backup. And the reason they designed the vehicle was that some people still had range anxiety or charging anxiety issues. So this vehicle is addressing exactly that. The Hyundai hydrogen fuel cell Class 8 truck, I thought it was just curiosity, because other than that, most of us on the call understand that hydrogen fuel cell is not going anywhere because the charging infrastructure and the cost of hydrogen is just doesn't make a fuel cell much economical. The center picture, this was from awards. PSE&G got awarded Don Neville, so among other stakeholders. Next slide. So this is our activity as it relates to increasing access to charging. We were made aware that there is a family in Secaucus that had issues to be able to charge. This is their house on the picture, and they can park in front of the house, but unfortunately, the township banned them from charging their car from charging station attached to their house. Essentially, trip hazard. And then, of course, they were pulling it to other fire hazards and whatnot. So we are trying to come up with a technical solution in our partnership with Ghost, which was our invited speaker a few months back. You can see how thin is the charger, the cable. It's less than half centimeter. If you know what centimeter, it's like 0.2 inches. And it's even thinner than the official cable cover. And it's designed to provide 10 kilowatts. So it's really full level 2 charger. I mean, it's not the one that delivers 19 kilowatts, but it does 10 kilowatts, which is very nice. The other part that we are trying to address is to develop some sort of policy proposal for the state so that we have a case, and we have a new legislation, hopefully that would enable solutions like that. Next slide. This one is our partnership with ENAT Transportation and Logistics. They recently opened new DC fast charging station in Lyndhurst. This was a project that took a lot of time because it involved lots of stakeholders, including PSE&G. And so we participated in the ribbon cutting. You can see our flags. That van that you see on the bottom right picture is electric. It's one of the rare brands. I don't recall exactly which one it is. They started with green power, and then they replaced it with something else, but it's not Ford. And it's obviously it's not Chevy, it's not Brydro. The charging was free, and so that was great. Anecdote on top right picture, you can see the lady on the left, it's Avi from BPU, and the lady kind of centrally located, that's Vanessa Abad. She's the principal of ENA deliveries, and next to her is her husband. And in the back is Ford F-150 Lightning that was brought by PSE&G. And these two guys are struggling to unplug it because they were fast charging and the cord got locked in. So I thought it was funny, but not a big deal. They were able to figure it out. Next slide. This is our electric vehicle first responder awareness workshop. Patrick, take it away.
So yes, we recently did a program at the Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company in Chemung, New Jersey. So we had about, I think there was 20 attendees, and about 8 of our volunteer drivers came out with their cars. So it was a great event. The fire company folks were happy to have us out there. And again, our EV Educator of the Year, Mike Hornsby, was the instructor. So he went through the whole program with them, and they were very happy to have us. And we'll be scheduling another one up in Mercer County Fire Academy coming up on June 17th. And I believe we're pretty full for that event. I don't know that we need additional volunteers, but if you keep abreast of our Facebook pages, you'll see any future programs that will be listed where we'll be looking for folks to bring out their vehicles. So always a big help when people step up and bring out their cars. It's a good chance to network with everybody. And of course, the firefighters are happy to poke around our cars a little bit. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and you can also check our calendar on our website, which is jerseyeva.org, because not all events are on Facebook, but all should be on jerseyeva.org. And then, of course, when we have campaigns like Drive Electric Earth Month, National Drive Electric Month, these are also posted on those portals. Back to you, Patrick.
All right. So we did want to highlight our partners. We're happy to network and work together with Sustainable Jersey, RideWise, Clean Cities Coalition, the New Jersey DEP, the Sierra Club, New Jersey chapter, Greater Mercer TMA, Tri-County Sustainability, evbuddy.net, Charge EVC, Cross County Connection, our local TMA in the South, PSE&G, of course, Tesla, Delaware Valley Tesla Owners Club. Welcome to all of you that are joining us. Thank you. New Jersey Car, Easy Ride, and of course, our friends at Rivian.
Thank you so much. We are going to conclude the recording and thank you so much if you were watching.